And I get to that page where in June 4 of 1834, Joseph is sitting on the banks of the Mississippi and writes this letter to Emma. And we just walked over the plains of the Nephites, picking up the skulls and bones as a proof of the divine authenticity of the Book of Mormon. I can also show you another record made by an archaeologist who also got to there, and he said information has been purposefully covered up because out of that mound came iron artifacts, head plates and breastplates out of iron.
Whoa.
I got a photograph of it. It's a huge cover-up. And the worst one is the Michigan tablets, but I mean, that's just...
Welcome in to another Key of David podcast here on Zion Media. And I'm joined by Trevor the Key Keys. He just lost his lighting. He's going dark mode or something because I can't even see him. We got David the Lion Douglas. Maybe, oh, there you go. Well, that's better. David the Lion Douglas. And we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend that is Wayne May. I've heard so much about Wayne May. I've attended conferences that he has done. They are, in my opinion, the best. When it comes to the Heartland stuff, this is the guy. This is the guy who knows. He's done the work. And I heard a really interesting story that's never been told before. And I don't even know if Wayne knows he's involved in this story, but we have on our show oftentimes the crazy enigmatic, I can't even say it, the tune, say it, how do I say it? Enigmatic character that is Latter-day Chad. And he literally looks like he popped out of a cartoon. Half the time I'm wondering if he's a real human. But on April 8th, a year ago, he had been praying diligently, seeking to hear the word of the Lord. And the word of the Lord came to Latter-day Chad. And this tells you something. If the word of the Lord can come to Latter-day Chad, it can come to anybody. So that's what that tells me. And the Lord told him, I want you to go to the Columbus Temple on April 8th. And so that's what he did. Lo and behold, guess who's there? Wayne May. Wayne May is there, and he's got a trunk full of Book of Mormons, but different kind of Book of Mormons. And only in this Book of Mormon has Latter-day Chad been able to find certain clues to help him better understand who he is. But he had no idea on April 8th, the day of the eclipse, that Wayne May would be there. And on that day, he's told me one of the most prized possessions of his life is that Book of Mormon. What is that Book of Mormon, David? It's a different Book of Mormon.
I think it's like a 1972 or 1970s Book of Mormon. He carries it. I literally just... Is that the one we're talking about?
Wayne could tell me. No, I don't think it is. That's past David.
It's older than that. Let me just jump into this work a little bit. I got baptized July 1970. I had just finished summer school. I had one more semester to graduate in January. Okay. And I sold antiques. I did that to raise money for school. And so I went home into my hometown, which is 4.5 hours away from Madison, Wisconsin. I had to go north. And I wanted to go to an auction that Saturday, which I did. And when I got to the auction, of course, I want the furniture, but they decided they're going to do all the household goods first to keep everybody there, because they sell the furniture first, half the crowd's gone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the guy holds up this box of books and he says, just whatever. And then guy says 50 cents, $1, $2, no big deal. But I'm in the back. I'm a long ways back. And somehow I could see right into that box of books, and I saw the spine of a book that said Book of Mormon. And I knew it was old.
Wow.
And here I am, I'm buying books. I dropped the whole box for $6. And so I went up to the front, auctioneer tipped the box out to me. I just reached in, I grabbed the book, and I said, here, sell the box again. This is all I want. So what I had was a Book of Mormon, which I would not appreciate for 18 years what was really in there. But this Book of Mormon was the 1879 version It's really in 1881. They call it the Pulpit Edition right there. That's it, David. The Pulpit Edition. Now, what's unique about this? It has just a pile of North American areas identified for Book of Mormon archaeology. And all of those were removed when the book was taken care of in 1920 and redone for the church. They took out all the North American footnotes, every single one. Now,
Do we remember did that, Wayne? That was a relative that took that out. Building Smith, he just took it all out.
well, to be fair, there's also footnotes for South America too. But at the time, the Brethren in the 1880s, they were still looking at the entire Western Hemisphere. You know, North America is land of Mulek, land north. South America is Lehigh, and of course, Panama is Adirondack. And, it's the scholars of the church, they dumped that very quickly. There was just no way that's going to happen. So it's all here, and it's just wonderful. It's separated out. I mean, and I reprinted that book, and I've been selling now at my conferences, and I've encouraged everyone to get them. First of all, it's 10 by 7 wide, big print, especially for old guys like me. And throughout the chapters, every once in a while you'll see the years dated out in the margins. You know what your time.
That's amazing.
And it's a wonderful book. And in the front, it's got a very quick index. If you just have a couple of keywords and you say, "Oh, I know it's in the Book of Alma. I know it's in the Book of Alma," you got a couple of keywords, you can find it really quick and go right to the chapter and passage.
Can we get that from your website?
Oh, yes, LDSarchaeology.com. Just drop in. It's right there. It's right
Great.
there.
Well, I'll have the description for sure.
Well, what a great story, because when Latter-day Chad showed up there, he carries that Book of Mormon with him everywhere he goes, and he felt divinely guided.
It's important. One more thing about it. The missionaries that come here where I live in Wisconsin, I give them a book. And I have, without any prompting or hint of it, I've had almost everyone before they left. They come back and somebody said, "When I read this book, the spirit is stronger." Now, I want to tell you something. The Book of Mormon was put into book form. It should have been left in book form. That's just my opinion.
Right.
It broke out to look like the Bible.
I agree.
The Bible, and you can where you would say go through your typical Book of Mormon and maybe read 2 pages and you're getting sleepy. You're going to be 10 pages deep in the big one. I mean, I tell you that you just fly through it. There's just something about it. It's wonderful. It's smooth and it's great. It's just great.
It's true. I read in prison. I read an 1830 edition of the Book of Mormon that wasn't chapter and verse.
Yes.
And I read it and comprehended it in the way that the story flows, in a completely different way. It was almost like I was reading an entirely new book. Now, I understand chapter and verse. It's easy to find and search it up that way. But if you want to have a unique experience with the Book of Mormon, go to Wayne's website. You can get one of those books on there and read it. If you want a new experience with the Book of Mormon, if you're tired of having the same experience, this is a creative way for you to have a completely new experience with the Book of Mormon.
It's really good.
And we'll make sure that we flash up the site they can go to and see it. And David will make sure that it's in the
In fact,
description.
while I'm explaining this next thing, David, you should pull up Wayne's website, because McGavard told us that we're supposed to promote the upcoming event. So let's open up his website. Let's show it.
Yeah, tell us, when is the upcoming event? Tell us about it.
Our 5th conference. We're in Spanish Fork, Utah at Maple Mountain High School. And it's June 20 and 21. 2-day event. We have a host of speakers. I can just show that real quick here. They're just I don't know that's how well it will show, but anyway, here's our speakers. This way. There's all our speakers. The bottom 2 here are from Ancient American Magazine over here. They're guests that I'm bringing in. And we have a special guest right up here where my finger is. This is Elder Brian Utanen, the Ojibwa, who, golly, just barely over a year ago, called me up, or I should say contacted me on email first. And he said, "Wayne," he said, "I'm going to help you. You're on the right trail." And he says, "I can translate some of the Michigan script." because our language that we have here in Canada is Mi'kmaq based, Coptic. And he says the letters on the Michigan tablets are mostly Coptic characters. I mean, boy, this was Christmas in last year, man, for me. That was Christmas. Brian's going to be there. You want to meet Brian?
We absolutely do. In fact, we put a media request into Brian Uten, and I had no idea you were connected with him. Zero idea.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad that you are. I'm glad that we've got somebody that's an actually legit Ojibwe elder that is not a fake or a fraud coming on. So I'm excited about that.
correct. Very good. Very good.
Awesome. So this event, if I'm not mistaken, this is Shane. This is like 1 year ago to like the time where Zion Media started, because you went out to this event like 2 weeks after we started.
Yeah,
right?
are you doing it in the same location? They're on
It's the same. Yeah, Mountain Maple High School. It's got
event.
stadium seating. The screen's the size of a semi, van. I mean, it's just great, air conditioned. It's comfortable, padded seats, and then we have the food trucks come in, at noontime, and people can go out and eat there. Or just down the street, there's about 8 different choices down the street.
But scroll up a little bit. So Wayne, the format of this meeting, go all the way to the top. I want to see just a little bit more. Just for those who have never been to one of these conferences, it's 2 days. What do we expect? Are we coming into like a big auditorium and there's speakers that speak for an hour, 2 hours? Are there breakout sessions? Like, walk us through it so people can visualize it. You'll sell more tickets.
All right. What we do here is that there's just one session going on per hour.
Okay.
And so you don't have to worry about, there's 5 happening. I don't know which one I'm going to go to. We just focus on one. Everybody gets probably about 50 minutes actually in between. And it'll go like 4 or 5 speakers in the first, and then 4 or 5 in the afternoon into we try to get off by 6:30 or 7. And then that'll be both days, and we'll have all those speakers. So, and we've got people that you recognize. I got Bruce Porter coming in, Anthony George, which nobody really knows in Utah. Anthony, I got to tell you about Anthony. Anthony was of course, his father was a Heartlander, and him and Anthony started as a boy, and his dad taking him to all the stuff around. They really focused on Ohio. I mean, there's nobody that knows Ohio like Anthony does because of his father, and he's really got it down pat. And so that's a guy you're going to want to get on your program when you start up that new one, Anthony. You can't beat the guy for Ohio. He's just awesome. It's just awesome. And he'll be there to speak for the first time. And we're glad to have him. Of course, we got Brian Mickelson, all the speakers, Dawn. I got the Smith family. They're going to come in and do it together, mom and dad, or I should say son and mother. And, David Lindsay's going to be there. And we got David.
Yeah, I love David.
I mean, just so good. But the 2 guys in the bottom.
Oh, David Hawking. I love David Hawking.
Yeah. And the 2 guys on the bottom, they're my guests coming in from Michigan and Massachusetts. And they'll be talking stuff that I can hear right now you guys have never heard before. But see, I'm in 2 worlds. I've got the world of just diffusion, which you guys are talking about, your new program, showing sites and going around. That's what my magazine does. It's all about diffusion. And that diffusion supports people coming here from the Eastern Hemisphere. And they're going to talk a lot about the Phoenicians. They're going to talk about the Veneti. And Tom Elmore is an expert with LiDAR and electronic drones and all that stuff. And you're just going to love them. They're just awesome.
I'm curious about Amberly. What's she going to be talking about?
Okay. Now, Amberly, unfortunately, Amberly is going to, she can't make it. If you can see this here, I got Farrell Pickering taking her place. Amberly's got something came up. She got a chance to go to France, I think it is. Some kind of a tour she'd been waiting for years, and it came up, and she called to cancel. I don't know why that picture hasn't been changed yet.
Well, Pickering, that's a good replacement.
Yeah, not bad.
They're awesome.
No.
Very, very good. Very good.
Yeah, get your ticket. This was an amazing conference. It was an amazing event. Zion Media will be there covering it.
Jane, with this, I noticed that it's $75.
It's 65 right now until the 1st of June.
Okay.
And then it goes to September.
If there's any Zion Media fans, and if you guys cannot afford to go to this, if you're in the area, we'll cover up to 10 tickets, Shane?
Yeah, we'll buy 10 tickets. If you
Need
can't,
help?
if you
Us up.
you
Wanna
can't cover it.
we'd love for you to go there. If you can afford it, don't ask us. But if you literally are, you need the help, then we'd love to help you go there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, let's jump into it. I'm going to kick it over to Trevor and David to kind of manage this conversation. This is more their wheelhouse than mine, and I'm just excited to listen and hear the story of how this all started for Wayne.
Yeah. Dave,
Yeah.
do you mind to talk about the origin and then pass it over to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So our thought and conversation, Wayne, is a lot of people that have studied the archaeology, right? Whether it's Heartland or Meso, they've run into you. But there's a lot of people who haven't. There's a lot of people that are Book of Mormon lovers, even like deep doctrine divers that haven't gone down the archaeology path, geography, path where the Book of Mormon took place. And so we kind of wanted to have you tell your origin story. Like, how did you stumble upon this? Because this wasn't something that you set out to do. I've heard a little bit about it, but it'd be cool to kind of tell all of our viewers how it came about. And I got to tell really quick my story about how I found you. So this was in 2015, and my parents were living in South Weber, and I had all of the Sorensen docs, all of them, and I knew everything about the Sorensen model, and I was so excited to anybody that cared about the Book of Mormon archaeology. I'm like, oh, we know where it is. Let me show you, right? Like, I know where it's at. And my parents said, they're like, we're going over to the Hanson's house, and there's somebody talking about the Book of Mormon took place. And they didn't say Heartland. They're like, in America. And I'm like, no, dude. And they're like, well, we're just going to go over there for whatever. And they came back with DVDs and brochures. And I was like, they were bringing home like Jehovah Witness material. I'm like, burn that. That is naughty. That's not where it happened, whatever. And I literally like took it away from my parents. I'm not kidding you. And I like gave it back to the family because I didn't want them to like fall off the path. Right.
Really? Oh my God.
That's serious. So it wasn't until like 2018, 2019 that I stumbled upon one of your videos that showed all of the different brass workings that are coming out of the Great Lakes areas. Is it brass or copper?
Actually, it's copper, slate, and clay.
And
Of course, the big thing is the copper weapons.
the copper weapons, it blew my brain. And then I started researching how many, I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds of copper that was ored out of that area.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this changes everything for me. And then it was just a black hole. I was just going down, consuming everything. And then I ran into Rod Meldrum, and I was just like into it. So that was my experience. And
Hey,
for those of you,
I want to share too. Like, you're geeking out. I got to share. Go ahead.
I just wanted to finish what I was saying, and then I was going to turn it over to you. But to me, it was just super cool. And I encourage anyone who hasn't opened your brain to the fact that we might not know exactly where the Book of Mormon took place. If you're in the Mesoamerica model, in the Sorensen model, opened up. And so there we are. Wayne's the OG. He's the godfather in this thing. And we're honored to have him. I told my parents 2 nights ago, I said, when we started Zion Media about 2 weeks in, I wrote a list of a bunch of people that I wanted to have on as guests. And I put like a 5-star next to the people that I was like, this would be the coolest. Glenn Beck's name has a 5-star on it. Wayne May's name has a 5-star on it. That's how cool I think Wayne May is. So I'm honored you're here, Wayne.
Thank you.
David, take it away.
Incredible. Yeah, I got really lit up hearing you and share your story, Trevor. That I apologize. I just got so excited. But it's interesting. My discovery of you, Wayne, and you're definitely a 5-star for me as well. My discovery started actually through Rod Meldrum. I had gotten some of his DVDs from my father-in-law, and when I got his DVDs, they were long, lengthy, and I was just floored with the information. But I didn't realize until I discovered you that a lot of his information came from you. So when I really got to see your presentations, I was completely floored because I'm thinking, wow, Rod doesn't have anything on you. I love you, Rod, in case you're watching this. And we love Rod Belgium, but I recognize that, your research and your work is quite significant. So I'm eager to hear your, like, right from the horse's mouth, your story and what really started this all.
Well, let me tell you, man, I told you about the book that I got at the auction. Okay. Now, that book, I looked at it, and when I saw these passages for North America, um, nothing sank in. It was confusing. I just closed the book, and I literally put it away for 18 years. Now, 18 years, I'm just doing what a new convert should do. I'm learning how to be a priesthood holder. I've got, the callings that I have, and whatever. I'm just going through the church. I'm just growing and growing and growing. And I remember the first little bump I got was I think it was about 1988, when in the Ensign, Dr. Sorensen had a two-part spread on the Nephites and the Maya were one and the same people. That struck a bad chord with me. But I just, I said, I got over. The church says it's in Central America. It's in Central America. If they say it's in South America, it's in South America. It didn't matter to me. Okay.
Right.
But here's what happened. I go to now our temple. To go to the temple in Wisconsin, we had to go 1,400 miles one way to Salt Lake.
Wow.
Okay. And my wife and I went. We didn't get out there very often. Okay. I mean, starting out, we were broke as church mice, but we got out there just a couple times. But anyway, our second trip, we go to the temple, did all that. And then downtown at the time, all the little stores were still there. The big stores now have taken over. All the little guys are gone. But I was going bookstore to bookstore, right down State Street. And my wife was in food storage stores doing the same thing. So she's throwing food storage in our car, and I'm throwing books in our car because I can't get them in Wisconsin, books to read. And so on our drive home, I got a book by Dean C. Jesse, The Writings of Joseph Smith the Prophet. And that book, by the way, is a forerunner to all the stuff that's happening now, that all the big volumes are putting out. This book put a lot of people on Joseph's trail, which was good. And so I'm in the car and I'm reading that thing, and she's taking a drive. I turn driving, and I get to that page where in June 4, 1834, Joseph is sitting on the banks of the Mississippi and writes this letter to Emma. And we just walked over the plains of the Nephites, picking up the skulls and bones as a proof of the divine authenticity of the Book of Mormon. Well, where did he just come from? He left from Ohio. He walked across half of Ohio, maybe more, all of Indiana, all of Illinois. Now he's at Mississippi. He said, we just crossed the plains of the Nephites.
Wow.
And right there, I have to tell you guys, I had my aha moment. Because I've been doing my archaeology stuff all these times as a new member of the church. I am still reading my stuff, but I'm focused on Hopewell and Adena in North America. And things were just really starting to come together. But at that moment, I remember I just thought to myself, and my wife's driving, and I gave her that typical cliche that I grew up in the 60s. I said, honey, Houston, we got a problem. And of course, she didn't quite pick up on that right away, but I did. And that's when I dove in. I went back to that book I had 18 years ago. I had it in my house. And I opened up, I started looking at all those passages. Mounds of earth covered up the dead, North America, or it'll say United States. All these passages, just United States, North America, and Lamanites this and Lamanites that. And it's all there. Now, as I said before, there are some for South America because these guys at the time were looking at the Western Hemisphere. But that's been done away with totally. And then once they gave up on that 30-degree, I don't know how far back you guys look, but it was at 30-degree at Chile, 30 degrees latitude. Does that ring a bell for any of you guys?
Yeah,
Latitude?
absolutely. All the ley lines are on 30-degree, right?
Yeah, that's where his scribe had followed. Now, the scribe claims that he heard Joseph say, Lehi landed at 30 degrees. Didn't say north, didn't say south. 30 degrees. And so as they developed that and realized that this wasn't working out for them, they magically moved it up into the Isthmus of Darien up by Panama. They just made a jump. Well, maybe this is where Lehi came in. So that became the landing for Lehi. They just moved it. But my point is, studying the Hopewell culture in North America, the oldest Hopewell culture is in Florida. And guess where they landed? 30 degrees north latitude. I believe the prophet actually said 30 degrees. He just didn't say north. He didn't say south. And that's what put the spin on the boys for the Western Hemisphere. And it gave them a wrong curve. But our Hopewell start in Florida on the 30-degree parallel. And then, of course, we have 3 starts almost simultaneously, because in the Book of Mormon, that's the way it works out. Nephi, I don't know how long he stays down in the place where they first landed, but he makes his jump to get away from Laman, right? And then, of course, in the meantime, the Mulekites are coming into the land north, and they end up in Iowa. Had to come in the St. Lawrence Seaway to get there. There's no doubt about it. Matter of fact, all my native Indians up in Canada will tell you straight out. We came across the Atlantic Ocean, we came in the St. Lawrence Seaway, and then we spread out through the Great Lakes as we sailed down the river into the bodies of water. They'll all tell you that. It's not a secret. But you won't read in your history book at high school, see, or college or anything else. It's their story. You see, we have to tell them what their history is. They're not smart enough to tell their own history, and we've made a big mistake there. We should have their history in the books, and it's really unfortunate, and it makes them upset, and I don't blame them for that. That's why they don't say a lot, okay? So that's how we got started. I just kind of, now it was a long time. This was only 89, but I actually called Dr. Sorensen. I called for 3 years. I would call probably twice a year, maybe 3 times. He would never talk to me on the phone. I got to know his secretary very well. And I just said, well, I'll tell you what, send out a TA. Send a TA out to the Midwest. I just want to show you guys what's out here. I'm not trying to destroy Central America or South America, wherever you guys think it is. That's your business. But just come out, let me show you what's out here. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So I'm in the publishing business, and I'm watching desktop publishing come along, and it's getting better and better and better. And finally, by 1993, I just thought, it's there. And I went away from corporate America, and I just went after it. I started publishing Ancient American magazine, which I have a copy right here. This is my March issue. This has been,
Where do you go to get this? If someone's watching, how do I get this?
okay, it's just ancientamerican.com online. That's it, ancientamerican.com.
How much does this cost? Is it an annual?
$39.95 for the year. It comes up 4 times.
Oh.
I got to tell you guys, you want to know what's going on here. I mean, here it is. And of course, then just three years ago, I started one just for church. This is scripture with archaeology for Book of Mormon, called Land of Promise.
So is that Ancient American one not only LDS? It's more broad.
It's broad. Yeah, it's out there all the way from Barnes and Noble. I've been out there for 34 years.
Very.
This here is only 3 years old.
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
It's on-
Right now, I am not at the bookstores because of COVID. I had 8 medium to small distributors, and every single one of them went out of business because of COVID. Right now, I have no way to get out to retail. And thank goodness that my subscriber base was so loyal. Everybody stayed, even though I lost revenue because my revenue sales, at the bookstore, brick and mortar, was good. But we lost that because of COVID. But I'm still.
Do you have a plan?
Pardon?
Are you going to get back into bookstores, or are you going to get some?
I'm watching it very cautiously because, for example, I was in 741 Barnes and Nobles before COVID, and right now I can't even tell you how many Barnes and Nobles are still open. I know they've shut down at least 200 or 300. I know.
There's hardly any. Me and my daughter have a tradition where we go to Barnes and Noble at least once a month. And you're right. Since COVID, there's nobody in there at all. I just was there on Tuesday. It breaks my heart because I love the old physical books, but it's.
Right.
I wouldn't worry about going back. Nobody's going back. It's all digital now.
So right now, again, I turned 77 in about 3 weeks, guys, and I'm just saying, well, I won't stop doing what I do until I can't do it anymore. But the point is, I'm trying to slow down a little bit. This past year was my last year for bus tours, but I do tours that are private, and the max people I'll go is 14 on a private tour. And in 3 days, just in Ohio, stay in the same hotel every night, you'll see plenty. And actually, to me, it's superior to the bus tour because it's your tour. We get to a place and you say, we really like this place. We want to stay longer. Well, see, you can do that because you're in charge of your tour. And then we pull out the Book of Mormon, read the scripture, show the stuff. I mean, I got to tell you, there's nothing like a private tour. They're awesome.
Sounds like we need to book, if it's only 14 people, sounds like we need to book a Zion Media private tour with Wayne.
It'll be fun.
We're in Ohio, Wayne. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
I can, and what do you fly into Columbus and you rent a 15 passenger van? I'm the 15th guy, and then away we go. And I can tell you places buses can't go. You see, there's a lot of places buses can't go, and you know what? Nobody knows where the places are except me. And I don't tell the other guys.
It sounds so fun.
I make the guys.
So you do it.
Joke on the big bus. I got a couple spots that are really hot, and I make everybody raise their right hand. I say, I promise I will not tell Bruce Porter or Rod Meldrum or John Nauvoo or these places. I do it for
We'll put pillowcases. We'll go like cartel style. We'll put pillowcases on people's heads.
That's okay. I just do it for fun.
I'd love to go.
I have an antique store. I don't know what's holding the building up. It's ready to collapse. And when you see it, you'll know what I mean. But this guy has artifacts in there that the farmers in the area, who are mostly Amish, they plow this stuff up because, see, they're still walking behind the plow. Today, the tractor, they don't see what's getting rolled over in the dirt because they're out in front. But the Amish guys, they're picking stuff up and they bring it in there. I take people there so they can buy artifacts, and they're reasonable. I mean, it's one of my private stops.
That's cool.
Nobody else knows about. So anyway,
I'm really curious.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just had one question.
fire.
Well, and it's not that important. I would love to go out to the Hill Cumorah and see that hole that got covered in dirt that you told the story of once before.
I can take you right to the spot. Right now, it's going to be totally covered in, I imagine, new tree plantings. It'll be harder to get there, but because it's so close to the monument, I can get down to it. I know I can.
I think we need to hear the story. Like,
Let's hear the story. What is this
Oh,
whole?
please.
I heard a little bit about it, but
Oh, well, okay. This would be, oh boy, this is way back. Probably, I would say at least 15 years back. When I was on a bus tour, and of course we were at the time. I had a bus tour in and around New York. There's some great stuff around Hill Cumorah to see. When I haven't been out there for years, but I did one around Cumorah. I had one in Central Ohio in that area. Then I also had one in Illinois to take in the Zelp Mound and other stuff off there. So I had three spots that I would go with my bus tours. Anyway, I'm trying to think. The guy's name just slipped me. Matthew. I think it was named Matthew, and his wife were on the bus, and we were telling stories. And he tells us, he said, I worked for the church years ago, and he said they had us come out in April to shoot what they call B-roll film. That's just footage that they could use in any kind of production. So they got to bring their families with them. There's quite a few guys, and they brought their families. And so while they're doing their B-roll film all over around Cumorah and on the hill, besides all over, the kids were allowed to play on the hill, go wherever they wanted to go. Well, come dinner time, one of the kids came up missing. So, everybody spread out to go find this child. And sure enough, luckily they found him, and they're standing over a hole. I'm going to say it's probably 80 to 90 feet down from the big monument, just straight down. Hole. The kid's down there. He's 11 feet. He went through this. He stuck on this area, and this ceiling or this cover was there. He just collapsed, and kid dropped right into this 11-foot hole. And of course, they got ropes and things and put in there, and they tied him around, and the kid, they were ready to pull him out. And then Matthew just took a few pictures by, leaning in the hole and shooting it. Well, when he showed me the pictures, what I could see is that I saw limestone block that had been just, cut up, nothing really that regular, just pieces, but the walls were all made out of limestone. Well, they'd have to be, because you see, Cumorah is really a junk pile, geologically speaking. It's a pile of rubble left from the glacier. So if you have a cave in there, it's not going to be stable. Now you can make a cave. So I believe in Cumorah, the cave that they've created, it's going to be laid up with stone, just like the room that we saw looking in. And so I said to Matthew, I said, Matthew, gosh, did you guys go inside? No, we didn't go inside. I said, what? I couldn't believe it. I said, I would have Howard Geronimo and I would have jumped in if I would have been there. I'd have been gone, man. But so here comes the rep guys, big steel plates, size of a piece of plywood. They covered the hole right there, threw dirt on top of it, and then within days that the plate was removed, they filled the hole with some type of loose material, and they planted trees over it. And David then took me to the spot. That's how I got there. He took me to the spot, and then I actually validated because I dowsed, and I did pick up the hole.
Really?
So
So I've got this video, Wayne, that I made about this. I want to see how accurate I was, because maybe some of the visuals might help. But I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Yeah, as you pulled up.
Yeah, right here.
a couple photos looking down in where you can see the limestone block that's laid up. So I mean that's all I have. And
Okay.
Hey, but Dave, but while you're pulling this, Wayne, I want you to know we went to what's the cave that's in Utah where they found, is it
Brewer's Cave.
Brewer's Cave?
Right.
We went out looking at a couple of locations for Brewer's Cave, and 250-pound David Douglas climbed into a hole. So dangerous. We were terrified for him. Climbed all the way back in, just like you said. I would jump in. David would jump in. Like,
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not 250 pounds anymore. I'm 240.
Hey.
All right, let me show you this video.
Hill Cumorah was an ancient storage unit for gold plates. I'm gonna riz you all up on this one. When Joseph was done with translating, he gave the plates back to the angel Moroni. Oliver Cowdery shared a story about how they were directed to enter the Hill Cumorah, where he saw a room full of plates and the sword of Laban on a table. Eventually, the plates in that room were put in a wagon and moved to a hill called Shin. Between 2005 to 2008, an event producer for the restored church named Matt was setting up for the next pageant on Cumorah. He took his family and they played while he worked. When everything was done late at night, one of their kids didn't come back. They searched until they found him in a hole. He was 11 to 15 feet deep into the hole and couldn't get out on his own. They got him out, and what they saw was unbelievable. There was a structure within the hole. It was an ancient man-made wall on 4 sides, proving that the Hill Cumorah still had rooms for storing metal plates. Interesting that God allowed a child to accidentally discover the room and not a grown man. Later, when they went back to the hill, the hole was filled in with dirt. Could this have been where plates were stored? Hill Cumorah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So pretty close.
Legend.
I asked him, I said, well, did you take some? I said, you must took some extra more pictures, just those couple. He said he did, but he went, he said I couldn't find them. So
Cool.
I'm really curious about this. This is one interesting fact that I learned afterward, much later. I learned that that family that was involved in that, the wife and the son that fell into the hole, is actually descendants of Willard Bean.
that's
And
correct.
Willard Bean, yeah. So Willard Bean is the boxing preacher that was tasked to buy the land back. And
Yep.
so his great grandson fell in the hole.
Whoa.
And yeah, so the connection is really astounding.
Though they have another connection. I don't know if we'll get to her now in Nauvoo, which is also phenomenal. But I want to tell you something about Willard, which I learned from them personally, from Matthew and his wife. I learned personally. They said that now, if you guys have all been to Cumorah, I mean downtown Palmyra. No, well there's a major church on all 4 corners, just called the 4 Corners. It's a big, I mean, huge, beautiful buildings, each on each corner, right downtown where they cross. Okay, it's called the 4 Corners, church in every corner. And Willard B, he said that's the only place in the summer I can stand in the middle of the street and I can hear false doctrine coming from 4 directions. I never forgot that.
That's awesome.
Nice. That's way cool.
Gabe, so
Okay.
will you add my tab so I can share screen? Because I want to tie in a few of these things in next. Wayne, you mentioned something that a lot of people don't know the name of, which is diffusionism, right? And diffusionism, and help me understand this correctly. Migrationism and diffusionism are essentially the same thing, but migrationism takes into account the people, right? Where they traveled, where they went to. Did they come from Phoenicia to America? Did they come from Sumer to America, right?
It's known. It's known.
Right. And then diffusionism is I don't know if you want to call it the science of the artifacts, right? And so we're physically talking about these artifacts, not the people, and linking them to that. And there's a place that we want to go to, that we're planning on going to, which is right here. And there's a artifact that is found that's housed in Westminster in New York. And when we go to Palmyra, and I'm teeing this up because maybe you're the guy that comes with us out here, but there are these Sumerian tablets, and it has a financial record of a goat that's purchased, and it's written in 4,000-year-old Sumerian, and we found it in America.
That's right.
And our whole goal with these episodes that we're going to be doing with Latter-day Chat is to prove the old world and the new world were indeed connected, and that there's been this massive. What's the third?
There's 3 of those.
3 of those tablets?
And they're all bill of sale for sheep and goats.
Love
They've
it.
all been certified by academia. They're legit.
Totally legit, right? And here's
And do you know about Chief Joseph?
yes, these are Chief Josephs, right?
Oh, well, I was told it was at the museum at the the military academy had.
Yeah, Westminster.
That is on the okay, yeah, it's definitely there. Chief Joseph.
Yep, Chief Joseph. Absolutely. And he was a Native American. They had it in his records. He said, "This is where I got it from," and they tied it all back. And so our whole goal is there's enough evidence now there that to prove a theory, which is there has been a deep cover up in academia, and I call it the Smithsonian cover up, to protect people's careers, that showed that America was a protected continent, that nobody came here, that the only people that came here was a trans-Siberian migration over the ice through Alaska down to here. But in fact, we have tons of records of people. We have commerce documents. We have writings, the Burroughs Caves, the Michigan relics, just tons and tons and tons of artifacts.
That's right.
The contrary. And the challenging part about it is you have guys that are your age that have built careers and have written academic papers that are peer reviewed in archaeological magazines, and their whole entire career is built on the fact that no, it was isolationism, this was manifest destiny, and it even ties all the way back into the Catholic Church coming here saying you can take all the land, right? As long as these guys weren't Christian, you can come in and you can stake that land, and we did it. And this is where we are as a society now, and it has some potential implication to the Native Americans and what we gave them in the treaties, and it's just a mess, right?
Academics, archaeologists who are in the field digging, they're actually taught, if you find something that shows people were here anterior to the discovery by Columbus, before, you put it back in the earth and you bury it. Don't even bring it to the surface.
Are you kidding?
God knows how many things they found that we have no idea. I can show you Mound 25 in Ohio, where they completely dug it out. I have the complete record showing what came out of Mound 25, and there's not one mention of iron. However, I can also show you another record made by an archaeologist who also got to there, and he said information has been purposefully covered up because out of that mound came iron artifacts, head plates and breastplates out of iron.
Whoa.
I got a photograph of it. And this is the things I talk about that show that all these things, it's just not the way it is. It's a huge cover-up. And the worst one is the Michigan tablets, but I mean, that's just, they just covered up everything. It's just awful. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What's the big fear, you know? I mean, what's the big fear?
It's the careers. I mean, the nice thing about Joe Rogan, if anybody, everybody knows who Joe Rogan is he's been having some of these, they call them crypto archaeologists or pseudo archaeologists, people coming in, Randall Carlson,
I didn't call it worse than
Yeah.
Grant, what's his name?
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock. Thank you. Right. And they're saying,
Big one.
that, I mean, they're blowing the light off of this thing. And Joe Rogan has had on like 6 or 7 people, and I just consume all their content. And these guys are saying, no, this is a cover up. And the reason why, they explain it quite well, it's all of these peer reviewed papers, it's everyone's careers. And it's like, as soon as these old timers retire, get out of the system and cycle, I think we're going to come into like this renaissance of true archaeology of what actually took place here on this continent.
Right. I totally agree with you that the thing of being covered up, there are several things been covered up. I mean, the burial things have been covered up. There's a huge one. I'm going to address that in my talks. You see a map of eastern half of America where all the Hopewell is, okay? All the Hopewell. Middle and East Tennessee, they're telling us no Hopewell. And the problem with that, 3 major Hopewell finds are in that area. 3. I mean,
It's Hopewells. The Hopewells are who we believe the Jaredites are. Is that correct?
Nephites.
Nephites. Okay.
Adina are the Jaredites.
Who are the Jaredites?
They're the Adina.
Yadina. Okay.
Yeah, they're the civilization before.
The timeline, because we have 3 events taking place in North America when the Nephites arrive. You have Lehi in the south.
Okay.
You have in the north, you have Mulek. And then we have Nephi breaking off from the Lehi group, Laman, because dad's dead. And they go northward. They can only go north because they're sitting down on the coast. They go in a northward direction. And they go into East Tennessee. And the East Tennessee, Florida, Iowa, they're all very, very close, around 600 to 550 to 500 BC. That's the dates they're getting. So the big question is, how does the Hopewell arrive here? And bing, bong, bam, they got 3 spots that are almost identical. That's really hard for these guys to put together. But you see, the Book of Mormon is the glue. We know who those people are, and we know they're 3 separate groups. Okay, the whole story is laid out there. And what do we find? What do we find in East Tennessee? We find that, first of all, what most people know about is the Bat Creek stone, which has the Judah transcription on it.
Yeah.
It comes out of East Tennessee.
Is that the Yahovah sign?
That's not that yet. That's there. And then we have the Norris Dam Hopewell Mound, which when they uncovered it, because it's going to be a lake, 60-foot lake, bury all these mounds in the Tennessee Valley, they find a building down there and they call it an Egyptian temple.
This is the one that's it's now into the reservoir, right? It's underwater.
That's correct. Norris Lake, Egyptian temple. And a guy from England comes out, he identifies it. He identifies the whole thing as Egyptian. And then he looks around at the Native American words and says, these words here, name of the rivers around here, are all Egyptian words, Egyptian consonants. And he says, even the word Tennessee, Tenna means land of, Essie means Isis. Tennessee means land of Isis. So, I mean, he just goes off on this, and they couldn't get that guy out of here fast. Okay, we don't hear about that. I had to go to England to get his book. Well, you can't get it here, but over there,
Trevor,
see. And then here's the big kicker. And for anybody listening before you see my talk, they're gonna know what the answer is, because no one knows. I know they don't know it. East Tennessee is the only place in North America. Now you'll find a couple spotted ones, but no burial mounds until much later. No burial mounds. What they did is they made stone boxes out of limestone slabs, and footplate, sides, and then a big limestone cover on the top. It's a stone box. And they might throw some dirt on, but not all of them did. They had over a couple of miles of Nashville of these stone boxes laying side to side. Couple of miles. And then they're out all over around Nashville and East Tennessee. Well, what's that got to do with Israel? Israel buries your people in stone boxes. They were doing the law, commandments. I mean, the law of Moses.
What do they say the explanation of those stone boxes are?
Well, that's what they built them. They built them. But see, the confusion comes in because the boxes are there. First of all, the Mississippians come in later. They're post Book of Mormon. And a lot of the boxes were emptied and they put their burials inside. But a lot of the Hopewell stuff still is found mixed in there. Not all of them, but most of them. And then make it even worse. And then Nashville was settled, oh man, early, 1760s. 1760, Nashville was a hub. I mean, it was people, pioneers, frontiersmen. But they found the boxes and that was treasure. And so they went to go do boxes also. So, I mean, the boxes got hit big time, big time. And what it is Nephite burials, the whole thing. They're just in East Tennessee, right where Nephi went, right where the temple is, right where the Bat Creek Stone is, and yet there's no Hopewell there, you see. But all the academics will tell you the Hopewell, I don't care what state they're in, they'll tell you that they're all done by 400 AD. I mean, it's solid.
David, share my screen again. This is an interesting thing that you mentioned about the tomb.
I'll be shared again. It's not shown.
About the tombs being discovered was in 2012. They discovered part of David's tomb that they thought they had since the 1950s, and they discovered this whole entire area, and inside of the tomb were almost 1,000 years of different relics of people just repurposing these same areas. And it's the exact same thing that's happened in Egypt. It's the same thing that happens in all of these ancient sites is the people find them and they're, it's like, wow, this is cool. This is a religious site. Let's use it and repurpose it. And I mean, that makes complete,
That's right.
complete sense.
That's why that very scenario in Italy today, I first of all, I don't know if there may be one or two, but the Etruscans had beautiful, beautiful sepulchres. And as Rome grew and eventually took over, every Etruscan tomb got emptied and Romans were buried in their tombs in their places. It was just common. It happens everywhere. It happens everywhere.
Absolutely does.
But
yeah. So back into the origin story of how Wayne May got going is you kind of discover this and does it create like some internal itch, some internal fire that to you just keeps and growing? Like
I had come, I mean, I'm very history oriented and I saw the history in the Book of Mormon. I was in love with it anyway. And when I realized, I mean, to me, it was over. Central America was out. But I'm thinking to myself, I had my first talk out there I started the magazine in 1993. And by fall of that year, a bunch of guys out there had found my magazine at Barnes & Noble. I got in right away. Barnes & Noble picked me up. And they set it up. They said, Wayne, come on out. We want to talk, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, man, I was afraid to go. I'm not kidding you. I was afraid to go because I said, man, the church, they're going to excommunicate me, I mean, I was really that's where my brain was. And so I go out here and they had lined up on, what's the main drag? State Street, right? It goes all the way through.
in Utah? Yeah.
Yeah. It's in Murray. There's a theater that's closed down. It's a private school today. At the time, it was owned by Jack Lamson. I don't know if Jack is even around anymore. He was my age. I mean, he could still be there. I don't know. But Dwayne Erickson and a bunch of guys, they got together and they lined that building up to be used for me to come out and make a presentation. All this stuff, all this diffusion material now. I'm not talking church, but it's diffusion material showing that other people are here, which would support the Book of Mormon story. If other people coming, well, then that makes it more plausible that Lehi sailed here, right? And Mulek sailed here, and the Jaredite sailed here. Okay,
right.
So it's helping all that stuff, and that's where I was at mentally at the time. So I come out here a day before. I got on Jack Stockwell K-Talk, and Jack gave us 2-3 hours for free, and he was totally excited. Well, this little school, I think it holds about maybe 400 in the auditorium. We had about 1,500 people show up.
Whoa.
Yeah. And Jack Lamson, of course, he was, waiting for a fire chief to show up and get a fine, But we had to turn a lot of people away. And I got to tell you, it was a great night. I was on stage. I had a little spot because we let people sit up on the stage and pack in as many as we could, and we had people sitting behind my screen, which was just a portable put-up screen. They're sitting behind the screen, looking at everything backwards behind the stage. There's about 50 people behind the stage, backwards. And one of them was David Doan. And David Doan, I'm good friends with. He contacted me right away. We've been friends the whole thing through here. So, and that's and it just kept going. And I and then I did one in my next one in '94. I did one in Provo, Utah, at the gymnasium there. It wasn't called what it's called today, like David McKay Center or something like that. I don't recall, but anyway, I did a big one there, and we had some boys from BYU show up. We spotted them right off. We knew who they were.
The suits.
When a couple guys got done talking, we always let a little question and answer, before the next guy got up, and they started asking some really foolish questions. I mean, they were dumb questions, trying to embarrass. And we had people in the audience stand up and defend our speakers, and they took care of the BYU boys. They took care of them, and eventually they turned around. They all left. There's about 6 of them.
This is one of the questions I have.
Wild.
This is great. I'm glad you brought this up. What is, in your opinion, what's the fear? Because they latch so hard on to this Sorensen model, right? And all of academia and everyone inside of, at the time now it's the Maxwell Institute, right? But at the time it was farms,
Yes.
right? It was heavily funded, turned into the Maxwell Institute. And I would say probably 80% of the people still inside of the Maxwell Institute are Meso, right? And the church spends money on that and they lean into that. And yet there's all of these evidences that are coming out that you and Neville and all of these guys are promoting. What's the fear? Is it the Hoffman angle that there were forgeries and they're worried that maybe some of these things are forgeries and it's going to discredit it? Or where does it come from? Because it's loading. To me, it's faith promoting.
I would say the artifacts have the Hoffman stain on them, period, just because of what he did with the books. I can see that right off. When the church owned the Michigan artifacts, and I found out that they were going to get rid of them. I was in there talking to the curator at the time, and they were gonna chuck them. So they contacted the state of Michigan. Michigan said they would take them back, and of course the church did. They did give them back. And before they did, I was able to take in about 100 people to see them in Salt Lake before they left. I mean, I had people had to see them, so they knew I wasn't crazy. I was saying they're in that warehouse, not too far from Temple Square, and they were nice enough to let me come in and show them, and I appreciate that a lot. And Michael Smith was there. He was the head curator at the time, at least my understanding, and was very, very good. I got to see a lot of neat stuff. And now, of course, it's all in Michigan. And I had 2 lawyers pop up right away and say, "Wait, here's 50 grand. Go buy them back from the state of Michigan." So I contact the curator in Michigan and told him I want to do. And he said, "You know what?" He says, "I don't like these things because they're controversial." And he said, "I wish to God I could give them back to you, but we can't. Even I can't take the money. I can use the money for a summer project. I can't even do that." I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Because now the state of Michigan owns the artifacts. We'd have to have a referendum attached onto some political voting lottery that asks the state of Michigan to vote on this whole thing, and it's going to drag in the church. It's going to drag in all the negative publicity." And he says, "It may even hurt your church. Who knows? I mean, I don't know." So we just can let that go. But today, with what's going on with NAGPRA and all the UNESCO stuff, natives are going in, grabbing artifacts and claiming stuff. Native Americans could really get, if they got their heads together, and I pitched this at the September deal out there, David. I pitched this in that mystic symbol at the end. I said, if we get 2 or 3 tribal groups together, they could go to Lansing, Michigan, and they get those artifacts out of there and put them on display.
Let's get them.
It could happen. That's why I was hoping I could point Midiga in that direction, and it didn't work because we kind of started going off the rails. Because I had my guy coming in from Toronto, Brian Houghton, he was all for it. He said, get a couple more guys. And I got 2 other guys that are kind of hedgy out of Michigan. They're not quite high enough nailed or hierarchy or whatever. But
I have a question. I have a question similar to Trevor's, and maybe you kind of, I mean, we are already touched on this a little bit with your answer, but I wonder if there's I mean, if the stigma in all of LDS archaeology is this for the same reason. Because I noticed that folks at like Scripture Central, or maybe it's I want to say, what's that? Whoever's in charge of Scripture Central, there's a whole organization like the ones that like the Fair Latter-day Saint. They seem to also have issues with like North American centered archaeology as well. And I wondered if it was because of their careers being wrapped up into it as well, funding for Central America.
I'll tell you what, we
Go
have
ahead.
hurt really bad. We've hurt the tourism in the Central America. It's not as big as it used to be. It's way back.
Oh,
So right away, I mean, they're mad at me. I want to tell you about a funny story that I've never put out in the public before. Never.
Let's tell it.
I was at,
Please.
I happened to be at it was Pleasant Grove. Stake president, he was there. Bishop talked to him, say, okay, yeah, bring this guy in, have a talk, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. So I get down there, and my host, and we set up, and the guy in charge of the building, the cameras and everything, got all set up. And then by 5 o'clock now, we're going to go out, get a bite to eat, and the thing's going to start at 7. And we're standing in the hallway outside the gymnasium. We just got done setting up. And the stake president comes out of his office, walks down the hall, no big deal. And, of course, the introductions are all made again, and the bishop talks to him. And stake president says to the bishop, I can't let Brother May speak tonight. You're going to have to call this off. And, of course, the bishop, we've gone through all the clearing. What's going on? He said, well, I got a call from BYU, and then they said that Brother May is preaching false doctrine. He said, I can't have this. We just can't do it. And so the bishop and the stake president, they kind of stepped off the side, and they had their own, toe-to-toe meeting. And so finally, they turn, and then stake president comes back to me, and he said, Brother May, he said, I know the time is short, but if you can get a couple of recommendations, I mean, if I could talk to your bishop, your stake president, anybody, like that, so I can know that you're okay and you're a kite payer and all that stuff. He's telling me all this. And I said, well, no, expecting problems like this. I had a card on my wall. I pulled my wallet out. I pulled this card out, and I hold it to him. I said, now, this number here, this is the temple president. And I said, I'm a veil worker. You can call him. And this guy here is my former stake president. You can call him. And he looks at me and said, well, these are really good, but, I really want to talk to your bishop. I said, President, I am the bishop. Well,
You were?
yeah, I was.
That's amazing.
And boy, you should have seen
He-
oh my gosh. He just, 180 down the hallway, went in, shut the door. And then my host says, well, Wayne, I guess you're on. And I did. I did my thing that night there in Pleasant Grove.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
amazing.
I love that. Are you married?
Amazing.
Must be married still, Wayne. 'Cause
I'm married, 7 kids, 22 grandkids.
So in 95, when all of a sudden you had 15 people at this theater, I'm guessing your mind was like, whoa, I'm on to something. Was your wife there?
The one thing I want to explain very quickly that I want people to know this. I do not make my living with the church stuff. My living comes from Ancient American Magazine, which is non-LDS. It's just regular archaeology for any academic who wants to read it.
Regular archaeology.
It's written for the average man. We don't full of a bunch of fluff and big words that you got to look up in the dictionary. We dumbed it down so everybody can read it and understand it and enjoy it. And that's what's made it successful. I want you to know that. So what I do for the church, to me, this is my mission. I joined late. I didn't go on a mission. I got married right away. And I have to tell you guys, I get every week, I get 2 or 3 people call up and say thank you. I mean, it's my paycheck. Just like you're telling me.
Oh yeah, that's the money.
They call me up and say thank you.
Shane says it.
I had a guy tell me, I'm back in the church because of your DVD. I'm back in the church. I'm saying, holy man.
Yeah, wait, I was gonna bring that up here. Shane brought up the convo about Latter-day Chad. You probably don't know who he is, just a young kid. April the 8th, he wasn't even active in the church. He didn't have a temple recommend. 2 months later, he got his temple recommend, and this guy has been on fire. And in fact, we had someone on our podcast 3 weeks ago, a month ago, Christian, who is a non-denominational Christian, ironically. And because of Latter-day Chad, Christian is now baptized. And so, like, the domino effect of your missionary efforts, like, would it be cool to see your downline, like a multi-level marketing?
Now, I suppose it would be. I tell you though, I got a letter that I did keep. There's a guy in Chillicothe, Ohio, and I can't say his name. He wrote me this nice long letter. He had worked with the Ohio boys there and doing digs and everything. And he laid out, he said, these guys are off their nut. He said, Wayne, you're on the right track. And da-da-da. Everything was complimentary. And he said, I want you to know, I'm Jewish. I'm not a Mormon. I'm not a Catholic. But he said, just keep doing what you're doing. He says, I know my ancient ancestors were here. I know this.
Wow.
Yeah. So stuff like this comes in. Man, how can I stop?
So in 95, you all of a sudden realize, like, wow, I'm on something. Was your wife at that meeting? I'm curious.
I had, okay, by that time I only had like maybe 3 magazines that had been published, and no books, no DVD. I just had 3 magazines for sale. That was it. I brought maybe a couple hundred magazines, and she was by the exit sign on just a little table. And when the meeting was done, everybody stood up and rushed toward my wife. I couldn't even see her. I just saw people's hands, and I want a magazine. I want. It was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, she's been here the whole time.
That's amazing.
Remarkable.
Okay, so
So
I mean, where I was just going to go back to is in supporting you and supporting your mission. There's essentially 2 ways that people can learn more and get involved. And we should flash up again the websites, Dave. We've got ancient archaeology. Dave, can you pop that back up there? Oh, what do we got here?
I can only see a part of the screen, so I don't know.
Dave might be able to fix that.
yeah, let me maximize it.
There you go.
ID
It's L.
LDS archaeology. Dave, throw that on the web. Throw that website up, and then ancientamerican.com. Let's do both. Oh, is that your cell phone number?
No, it's my office number.
I was gonna say you're crazy.
Office number.
All right. So
I don't know if I spelled this right.
and Dave, can you actually show the website on the
Let's just share the screen.
And then so coming up in June, if you're a fan of the Heartland, if you're a fan of Wayne May, this is the red meat, guys. This is where you're gonna go to get completely edified. All of the people that you want to network with in the space are here. And in fact, from what I understand, Wayne, you have vendors that are selling books.
Yeah. We got a pile, and we got a lot of vendors just other vendors. We probably had like 60 vendors last time.
Yeah, I didn't come to this one. I was in Las Vegas at a family trip. And Dave, did you go to this with Shane, or did Shane just go?
Yeah, I actually did go to this event. I don't know. It was at a high school. Yep.
It was at a high school in Mapleton. It might have even been the same place, but I just heard from a lot of people that went there. They're like, dude, I spent so much money on books. I got the best books. I talked to all the authors. Just like there's networking. There's people there that have tours to go to these places. Like, this is the place. Like, Brigham Young would literally say, this is the place. And you can come find it here. Okay, the next one that we're going to go to is the Ancient American. Is that what it is, Dave? Let's go to that one. That other URL.
Yeah.
And this is the archaeology. The thing that I really like about this, Wayne, it's the same goal that we're trying to achieve with our
Again, I recognize that when you said what you're going to do, that's my magazine. That's my magazine.
And that's what because we have only a certain limit that we can reach inside of Zion Media, right? The goal and purpose of these 8 to 10 documentaries that we're doing, we're not even really tying in Book of Mormon. We're simply trying to prove there was transoceanic communication. There was transoceanic commerce, communication, everything. And so going to this site, let's update the site on here, Dave, so that we got the right URL so that people can see this. But this is where you can go and get the $39.99, 4 of these magazines per year, dialed in. This to me is part of the reason why I really loved everything that Midiga was saying, is because it tied in proof of the Book of Mormon. And that's what I'm looking for. I have weak faith. I like evidence. And to me, not that it cures any of it, but I just love things that can tie into my worldview. And that's what this stuff does. And this diffusionism, it's tying in the artifacts of the old world and just proof that, like, listen, guys, the Smithsonian, they're liars. And one whole entire episode that we're doing, you'll get a kick out of it. We're using our press passes. Zion Media is now official press organization. We're getting into the Smithsonian. We're probably never going to be invited back. We're going to be respectful. We're going to be respectful
right there.
But as respectful as we can, we're basically going to say, listen, we think our opinion is you're covering stuff up.
Yeah. All right. I want to show you one more thing before I was baptized. Now, when I got introduced to the elders, and I saw them out a week later. I don't even know why I went, but they asked me to come see a film called Man's Search for Happiness. Any of you have seen that film?
Absolutely. Victor.
When I saw that, and laid out the plan of salvation, they didn't know, but I was gone. I mean, I was there. Okay. I knew I'm going to get baptized in this church someday, somehow. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to do it. I had to get rid of some bad habits. What's that?
How old were you?
21.
Okay.
Yeah, just a semester from graduating from school. So that's in the fall of my sophomore year. So that summer, I'm at summer school now, and the church thing, it's still just rolling in my head. I'm thinking back on it, like, gosh, what was that all about? And I just thought. So anyway, I was in summer school, and I had this flyer come in. Actually, it's probably a Barnes and Noble, and I'm an ancient history guy. I like this stuff, and I'd heard a lot about this thing called Atlantis. I thought maybe I ought to get a book on Atlantis, see what's going on, and I did. And little did I know, the book I bought today is a classic. It's out of print, and it's worth a lot of money. You can't get it. But I bought this book called Atlantis. This is it. You can't hardly see it very well, Atlantis, but it's by Stacy Judd. Now, keep in mind, I'm reading through this thing here, and what I realized early on is that it doesn't matter if you're with a Stone Age culture out of Africa or the jungles of South America, or a highly civilized ancient society, and take your pick, wherever you want to go. Everybody had some common threads, and that's what the Atlantis book was all about. Number one, everybody had this God, and everybody had.
Can you show that on the screen again? That book?
Oh, sure. They had. It's called Atlantis. Yeah, the reflection is kind of bad. Made it a little better. My mind's in rough shape here. I've used it so much. But I'll show you what's inside. So, but they got the God thing. They've got the creation. They got the mother and the father, and everybody has a flood story.
Flood, yeah.
I don't care who you are. If you're a Stone Age boy out of South America, you've got these three things, and then at that point, everybody's stories, starting with the flood of Noah's Ark, everything starts to change. I mean, all this other stuff comes in, but everybody's got those same four things. Everybody, and that's what Atlantis is about. And so here I am. I'm still thinking about the church. What am I going to do? Oh, that thing I believe is extra. And I'm opening up this book, and I'm reading it, and lo and behold, can you see that?
Go a little closer. A little higher. Okay.
Can you read it?
Chapter 7, the Mormons and the Mayas? What?
Oh my gosh. This blew my mind. And on top of that, this is really mysterious. They've got a picture here of Joseph Smith I have never seen before. I have tried to track it down. This might actually be him. I don't know.
Dave's going to be excited about
this. I can show it to you. Oops.
Go. Whoa. I have never seen that picture of him.
Yeah. And
I'm very curious.
This book, top to bottom, and it just says at the bottom, it says Joseph Smith.
Interesting. We did a whole episode trying to reconstruct some old photographs. We did not come across that one.
Yeah. Let's see this book.
What year was that book then?
I'm just got deuced to the church several months ago, and it's still in my mind. And no matter where I go, I'm running into this Joe guy. Here he is in the Atlantis book of all places. I mean, how cool is that?
What year was that book published?
Oh, geez, I have to look.
Yeah, look at that. And as
I will, while you're looking, the verse, there's a verse, 2 Nephi 29, that talks about how God speaks to all nations, that everybody hears the word of the Lord. So it just ties into what you were saying. Go ahead, Trevor.
1967.
1967.
And this one I have here, there was a second edition in 73. And I am assuming, because I was in school, I started at 1966, so I probably got a first edition here, I'm guessing. But this is a wonderful book. I mean, it's just awesome in here. Here's your diffusion book right here.
No.
This is all diffusion.
I had a
Mormon.
I had a similar path in my early 20s. I got back from an LDS mission. My mission president was Peruvian, and he was a 33-degree Mason, and he told me to go become a Mason. And I was like, what? And I tried to get in, and I couldn't get in because I couldn't find a sponsor. So I started studying everything that the Masons were teaching, and it all started with those myth stories, right? And it all were those same 4 things that you were talking about. And I got fascinated into this as well, because all of them had this origin story. And one of my favorite was the Greek philosopher Asclepius, and he taught Solon, who taught Plato about Atlantis. And that's where the story of Atlantis comes, and it's remarkable. Like, some of the writings of Asclepius are scripture. They're absolutely scripture to me. There's a video that I think I've shared before on Zion Media that's the writings of Asclepius talking about Atlantis and Egypt and the fall. They tie in Egypt to this whole origin story, and Hermes Trismegistus, and they believe that Hermes was Enoc, and I mean, it just goes on. But you're exactly right. After the flood, everything fragments, and
Those has their own tales.
it all breaks up, right? And but you can take all of the religions in all of they all have a priesthood class, right? And the priesthood class has kind of an esotericism above it, and when you dig into it, they all go back. They all go back to the origin story. Like, this is how we got here. This is Father. This is the whole entire creation thing goes back into that. And then from there, they all have their mystery teachings, which we have as our temple ceremony, and all of them in their mystery schools, the Babylon mystery schools, the Greek mystery schools, all of them, the Masonics, all have this creationism, which we go into the temple in our endowments, and we're learning the same things. And what they were all trying to teach,
That's right.
Adam was trying to teach to his kids, being like, hey, this is where we came from. This is how we get back.
Made me think about when I was in college. I did go Greek. I was in a fraternity, and when I was initiated, we did things, to make you a full member. And when it came time for me, almost 10 years later, when I got married and then going to the temple, a lot of things that I did in my fraternity, I also did in our temple.
100%.
And that it really shocked me. But even though I was shocked by it, all I had to do was think about diffusion. And to me, that was the answer. This stuff's been around for a long time. If I stood at the pearly gates today and Jesus is there, he's the gatekeeper. And he's Wayne, he said, I got 2 questions for you. If you answer them, you get to come in. First one he says, because he knows I'm a history buff, he's gonna test my mettle.
Yeah.
Who built the Great Pyramid? I said, come on, that's easy. Enoc built the Great Pyramid.
Enoc.
You're right. And who built the Sphinx? Methuselah, his son.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never heard.
It's another story.
I would love to hear.
My good friend in Egypt, Daoud, his father was an archaeologist in the 1930s. His dad was run out of the discipline because he wrote a paper on the Great Pyramid stating that it was way older than where they had it, 2500, 2600 BC. And his reason for that, he found saltwater stains on the ceiling of the king's chamber. Saltwater. That baby went underwater. And because of that, Daoud got run out of archaeology in Egypt, his father.
Wow. Well,
It opened up for me the whole thing. So
it's worth mentioning right now as we're on here. We need to do an entire episode on this, but did you guys see what they announced on Tuesday that they discovered under the pyramid in is it Karnak or Karna?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
The second largest pyramid in Egypt. They just discovered underneath it that there's these, I think it's 6 massive cylinders that go down 2 kilometers, not 2,000 feet, 2 kilometers down, and surrounding them, spiraling around like a staircase or a coil, and then they go down into 2 massive 80 not 80 meters, maybe it is 80-meter cement box. They tie into them underneath 2 kilometers in it, and hopefully we can pull up a picture of this. Is that what you're typing, David?
Wow.
If not,
I don't even know what to search.
oh my gosh, just
Wow, that's
YouTube Egypt discovery. This is crazy, Wayne. And but 2 kilometers underneath, and this isn't like fake news. This isn't maybe someone said this. They did a massive press release, and if you go on to like Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, it's all over the place.
wow. Yeah, I've not seen that. I guys, I'm so busy doing my magazines and answering my email and stuff. I don't get on Facebook and YouTube as much as I'd like to. I don't have the time. But I do a little bit. So
Dave, let me pop this up really
I wonder if I found it. Go ahead if you found it.
Okay. Yeah, I got it real quick. And then I know we're bumping up against a hard break here. So thanks for bearing with us here, Wayne. Let me just show.
Egyptian archaeologists have made a remarkable discovery beneath the iconic Giza pyramid complex, potentially altering our understanding of ancient Egyptian civilization. Using advanced scanning technology, researchers have detected mysterious underground structures that may hold significant historical secrets. A multi-institutional team from Japan and Egypt identified an L-shaped anomaly approximately 33 feet long, buried just 6.5 feet beneath the surface in the Western Cemetery near the Great Pyramid. This discovery raises a critical question. What purpose did these hidden chambers serve, and why were they built? What exactly lies within these buried structures that have remained hidden for thousands of years? Lead researcher Motoyu.
Dang it. This isn't the one, guys. I'm trying to
Okay. Send it to me later and I could probably put it in.
weave it in. It's incredible, and I can't even get away from it right now on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. All of my friend groups are talking about it, and they're being like, is this fake? This has got to be fake.
Yeah.
2 kilometers down, things in. And so, yeah. Well, look, this has been super fun. Wayne, I feel like we could have you on, and I'd like to have you on sometime in the future again to talk a little bit more. Maybe we should, like, 4 weeks before your event, just do one more 3 weeks.
that would be great. I mean, an extra shot to advertise it. That'd be wonderful.
Kind of a last call, maybe like 3 weeks beforehand. David, why don't we team
I
up?
may be able to give you an update on the Burroughs Cave.
That would be cool.
I'll be down in 2 weeks. So
I know that 2 subjects that we're dying to talk about, and we'll tease them here, and we can talk about them later, is rumor has it, and you may not be able to talk about this, but you know of a site in or near Nauvoo where there might be some recent giant or extremely large bodies found. That's one of them.
that's true.
All right. Terry told
I told you
Okay.
the connection to the Willard Bean family. Okay, this gal, I'm trying to think now. This would be his. It's either his grandmother or it's his mother, Elizabeth Baum, Baum. You want to know the story? I'll tell you, Rick. You want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
God.
Here's the deal. This happened probably only just 2 years ago. The descendants of the bombs happens to be a guy that came on bus tour with me. He's back in Arizona, and he sends me this paper. It's a picture of a woman's diary, just the page, and then it's been transcribed. He said, "We thought you might find this interesting." So I'm reading this thing that tells about a guy named Jacob Baum who has just moved the pig corral somewhere else out by the barn, and the pigs are in a new spot. And of course, pigs do what pigs do. They root the ground. They tear it up. They want to roll in the dirt, and especially if it rains, they love the mud. That's just what those guys are. And Jacob Baum, he sees bones. So he goes out there and he looks at these bones. My gosh, they're big. And he sees a skull. He pulls a skull out of the dirt, takes it into the house, show it to the wife and the kids, and they are totally freaked out because the skull was like really big. I mean, big. He said the jawbone would go around him. I mean, big. So anyway, this news gets back to Nauvoo somehow. Now, Joseph's farm is right next to his farm. They're about 1.5 miles, maybe 1.75 miles out of Nauvoo. Their farms are side by side, same road to go in and out of town. So Joseph's coming back from Nauvoo. Here's all this scuttlebutt about big bones at Jacob Baum's farm. And he goes up there, and Jacob shows him. And I got the exact words out of the diary. He says, "Jacob, those are Jaredites. Cover them up and move the pigs." Now, here's the rest of the story. Wisconsin to Florida, West Virginia to Nauvoo, Illinois. Jaredite burials, there's 3 types that we know of. One is a typical small stone pile. It's called a cairn. Or there's the big ones, 60 and 70 footers. But they also just dug a hole in the ground, and they maybe 3-4 feet at most. But the men were buried like spokes of a wheel. Can you imagine that? Spokes of a wheel. You got a center hub. Their heads are
Yes.
facing the center hub, and their feet go out in a circular pattern. This is an Adena burial identified by academia all over the Midwest. I can show you about 15 of them. And this is exactly what Jacob Baum uncovered. And here's Joseph saying, these are Jaredites. Cover them up. Wow. So for me, the Adena, no more. I tell people, these are our Jaredites. Period. I don't mince words. Period. Joseph's the man. Now, we've already contacted the farmer. We shot it last year electronically. We know where we're going to dig. And my problem right now is I need to get I want an archaeologist on site. I want to go down and just dig it myself, but I can't. We got to have an archaeologist there. So academia can't rub us off.
And as my understanding would have,
You guys got an archaeologist, a good friend? Boy, tell him to call me.
all right, I think we could.
I need one. I need an archaeologist.
Okay.
Okay.
That's pretty amazing. And I have seen, in fact, Dave, share my screen real quick. I've heard that story about the bombs. I didn't know you had a connection to it. And I've seen these spiral burial mounds because I'm super into giants. I'm like nerdy into giants. Trying to think. And yeah, there's tons of these. And in fact, the story of the bombs, if I'm not mistaken, was in a farm in Nauvoo, wasn't it? Near where Joseph Young.
Just about 1.5 miles out of town.
Yeah.
And then in Carthage, the recorded in Carthage, which is not too far, over 500 of them were found. Burial. Over 500. So
There's a lot happening. This that I'm popping back up is the video that I wanted to show, and Dave, I could send this text to you, but 600 meters under the pyramid. You guys, this is what it
3D model of the entire complex. The examination of dozens of tomographical images obtained from different angles using Capella space and Umbra radars enabled the 3D reconstruction of most of the objects inside the Pyramid of Khafre. Below, we present some images from our 3D analysis. The analysis of the structures above Belzoni's chamber are intensely colored spots which can be observed appearing in all tomographic images taken from different angles corresponding to the internal artificial structures. On the next page, it says that improving the presence of vertical structures. And if you think that was pretty mind-blowing,
That's
it
incredible.
then goes on to say, as observed in the 3 model below the ground level, so ground zero,
This is, I hope they say right here, see this right up here, 80 meters. It
Yeah.
ties into 2 large cubic structures at the bottom.
of the main structure, vertically aligned cylindrical structures
There.
extend for hundreds of meters beneath the Giza plain.
Is there a way I can share a picture off a PowerPoint to you guys?
Yes.
It may-
Hour 37. Okay.
There it is.
So what do we got here, Wayne? We've got the
This is a typical Adena burial in the Midwest. This is what's at the Jacob Baum farm. This is what Joseph saw when he said, "These are Jaredites. Cover them up."
and this is the one where the guy had the massive skull.
These are all big guys. They're all 8-footers. They're all 8-footers. And
Foot.
we've already. I mean, I went after the landowner right away when I found the story, and we tracked him down, and the guy's waiting on us to come back and do it. And I need an archaeologist because we got to dig this down carefully to to go after it. The bone.
Well, if you are listening to this, if you're on our Zion Media Discord, I know there's a bunch of you guys that are zealots on here. Let's get an archaeologist. Let's find someone who's accredited that's an archaeologist. We can crowdfund this inside of Zion Media. We'll do some of it. We'll crowdfund the rest of it. But how cool would it be, guys? Just how cool would it be to dig up the spot that Joseph Smith, out of Joseph Smith's mouth, said, those are Jaredites?
That's right.
I mean, is there anything cooler? If they were aliens, maybe that's the only thing that'd be cooler.
Yeah, probably right.
Those aliens, right? Like Joseph Smith says.
They probably consider these aliens, I suppose.
I mean, they're partial aliens, right? According to Michael B. Rush, these are the Watcher babies or descendants of the Watchers. So, all right. Well, let's wrap this baby up. Wayne, thank you so much for coming on and spending.
Well, it's been fun. It's been fun just to chat. I really appreciate that. I do. It's been fun to chat.
You are a legend, man.
There's a lot of things I want to share with you guys. I just, we just got. Oh my gosh.
Well, we'd love to have you back.
I'm
Love to have you
a
back.
search for one.
What's
Okay, Book of Ether, chapter 2. You'll know where the Jaredites crossed the Atlantic or they crossed the Pacific. The answer is in chapter 2.
Ooh, that's a Easter egg. I'm gonna be pulling that up for me. So you're saying in Ether chapter 2, there's enough evidence that says whether they cross the Atlantic or the Pacific?
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's see who can find that first, David.
Let's see.
Lunch on whoever finds it first. Okay. Well, we've Shane's dropped off. He's doing some real estate. We are dabbling in Babylon and Zion at the exact same time. So
It's been fun. It's really been fun. I appreciate it.
it's been a blast. We really appreciate you coming on. This is David probably is more excited than any of us because David's got his Ancient Answers site, and I know there's just like a ton of subjects that we could have you back on, and we'd love to have you on, and let's schedule it for sure before the June event gets in last minute ticket sales. We'd love to be there. And like we mentioned earlier, guys, on this podcast, if you want to go to this event, it's $65, $75. You can't afford to do it. We'll do 10 of these things. And then Wayne, I don't know if there's, vendor space, but you should.
There's vendor space. Now, the vendors, this is a good deal. They can walk in. They got to call my gal, Melissa Tillack. So tell them to send me an email, wayne@ancientamerican.com. And you have to talk to her about getting space, to be a vendor. No money up front. Whatever you sell through, we ask for a 10% at a limit of $3,000. So the maximum you'll ever pay is $300.
But
It's all on the honest system. We don't want anything up front. Just if you got something you just want to show and get exposure, it won't cost you a penny. Come on in, set up a table, and there you are. Bring your own tables. Tables are thin. Real quick, Ether 2 and 13. I'll read it to you. And now I proceed with my record, for behold, it came to pass that the Lord would bring Jared and his brethren forth to that great sea, which
That's the part.
divideth the lands.
Specific. The Great Sea.
Oh.
Which one?
It's the Atlantic. Remember, the first earth is one piece, and 15 generations after the flood, days of Peleg,
Yeah.
the Lord pulls it apart. Creates what the Egyptians call a false sea. Atlantic Ocean. False sea. That's it.
Oh, the sea, not the ocean. That's the key.
False sea.
Okay. All right. So, all right. I got to go back and look at that.
That's right.
The event in June, if Zion Media wanted to have a booth, David, I'd like you to work with Wayne and just come up with.
Let me.
I could do that.
But we'd love to contribute and support the cause.
Let me give you Melissa's number.
Okay. Here's Melissa's number for anybody who wants to be a vendor and get there. And by the way, Wayne mentioned $3,000. If you paid $3,000, it means you grossed $30,000. So that's the only way you're gonna pay $3,000 because
Yeah. Yeah, and so and it's all in the honest system. We don't ask for any money to come in. Okay, it's 801-368-7992, and that's Melissa.
Okay, Dave, maybe you can flash that on the screen. These are for vendors, people that
Vendors.
do.
She's our site manager.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for the Key of David podcast. For myself, Shane Baldwin, and David the Lion Douglas. Thank you for tuning in for Zion Media, guys. We will see you guys next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Feel the fire, hear the sound. The time is now, no backing down. You were sent here, don't deny. Rise up now, it's time to fight. Latter-day John, latter-day Matt, latter-day Joseph, where y'all at? Latter-day Moses, latter-day Paul, we were sent, now we answer the call. Hey, born of fire, born of light, sent to stand, sent to fight. Patriarch spoke, name been sealed. We the ones, now the visions revealed. No more waiting, no more doubt. Every sign been playing out. You've been feeling something real. That's the spirit breaking seals. Oh, now's the time. Oh, step in line. Oh, hear the sound. This is the call. Now stand your ground. I was sent. I was made. I was built to lead the way. Oh, no turning back. This is the path 144. The work is real. Find the ones who feel this still. Rise up strong. We won't fall. Hey, 50 minutes, find 50 more. Lock it down, we're gonna build that core. Every city, every land, call them back, this was the plan. This ain't new, we made this vow long before we came down. Time to stand, time to see, time to walk in prophecy. Latter-day war, latter-day fight, ain't no fear, we move in light. Every covenant, every key, we the army, we the priest. Oh, now's the time. Oh, step in line. Oh, hear the sound, this is the call, now stand your ground. I was sent, I was made, I was built to lead the way. No turning back. This is the path 144. The work is real. Find the ones who feel this still. Rise up strong. We won't fall. Hey, I see flames, I see signs. I see those who realign. Shake the world, break the chain. This the moment, break the frame. You've been marked, you've been set. Every move been heaven lit. Hey, I know you feel the call. Time to stand, time to walk. I was sent, I was made, I was built to lead the way. No turning back. This is the path 144. The word weight holding me, I ain't tied down. If you're trying to see the plan, take the high route. It's that latter day way, let's ride out, yeah.